Hey, Pete Richter coming back to you again, the old retired city cop from Baltimore, and I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And we should all be thanking God that George Washington and those guys did for us what them Egyptian people and those people in the Middle East are trying to do for themselves right now. You know, God bless them people. I don't care if they're Muslims, Hindus, or devil worshippers. Everybody deserves freedom. The number up here, Liberty Works Radio Network, I'm in lovely downtown Westminster, Maryland, is 410-848-9191. 410-848-9191. And got a special guest up here today. We got a songwriter named John Ringer. And we'll be playing the song that he wrote called My Country, My Ass. Now, an ass is a donkey, so don't think it's anything else. We might have some kids out there listening. But anyway, talking about music, I'm going to tell you a little bit about Bobby Al Jolson Berger. Bobby's been a friend of mine for about 40 years, and he was a police. His brothers were police. His uncles were police in Baltimore City. And while Bobby was a policeman, he did an Al Jolson show in blackface, which is not against the law. And if you all remember, I think it was might have been when Reagan was elected president, Ben Vereen, a black guy, put blackface on and performed at the White House. But when Bobby did it, it turned out to be this racial thing, and not one black policeman went against Bobby. It was the politicians putting the pressure on the police commissioner who went along with the program. And moral of that story is Bobby Berger sued the police department, took them to the Supreme Court, and he won. Took him 11 years to get there, but he took the the police department to the Supreme Court, and he won. And Bobby does a lot of charity work. Everybody knows him. He is affiliated with St. Jude's in Baltimore with the crippled kids. And wherever he goes, he tries to get donations for them. But anyway, a lot of these cops out here don't understand that you're just a number. And as long as you're doing what they want you to do, you're okay. But if something comes down and they'll turn on you in a New York second. Well, anyway, let me give you a good story about Bobby. They say he's crazy. See, when you're right and you got all the evidence, the opposition always says you're crazy. So they're messing with him like real bad on the police department, and they send him to the departmental shrink. And Bobby's being interviewed by the shrink. And the shrink says to Bobby, "So you sing?" Bobby says, "Yeah, I sing." He says, "And your mother sings?" He said, "Yeah." "Your father sings?" He says, "Well, my father's dead now, but he was a singer." "And you got brothers and sisters?" Bobby says, "Yeah." And the shrink says, "Do they all sing?" Bobby says, "Yeah, they all sing too. We all sing. We got a singing family." So the shrink says to Bobby, "Well, it sounds like you got a happy family." Bobby says, "That's right, we do have a happy family." And the shrink says, "Well, don't you ever feel bad? Don't you ever feel sad? Your family and you?" Bobby says, "Sure we do." And the shrink says, "Well, what do you do when you feel sad?" Bobby says, "Well, then we sings the blues." That was the end of that shrink. But anyway, Bobby's been doing this Al Jolson thing for like 34 years. And on April the 3rd, at a place called Michael's 8th Avenue, down on Dorsey Road in Glen Burnie, is going to be his last and final show. He's going to hang up Al Jolson and do this last show down at Michael's 8th Avenue on Dorsey Road in Glen Burnie. So if anybody, is in this area, it's a good show. I've seen it 500 times. And it's $50 per person. And a portion of it goes to St. Jude's Children's Hospital, just like I told you. It's going to be a bull roast and a dance. So you'll get plenty to eat. You'll have some good dancers there. And you're going to get a lot of good singers. Bobby's his sister, Loretta Payone. She sounds exactly like Brenda Lee. She's going to be there. Linda Berger, that's Bobby's fiery red-headed wife. She sings just like Reba McEntire, and she'll be there. There's going to be a lot of other ones there. Del Harshert on the saxophone. They're going to be doing some Mr. Darrell Davis, Mr. Boogie Woogie's going to be there. Bobby Morris, the piano man. The whole bunch of them's going to be there, and I guarantee you, you'll have a good time if you go down. And Al Jolson was not a racist like the police department tried to say. And all the police like Bobby. And they couldn't get one black policeman to come out against Bobby. And John Ringer's here. Say hi, John.
Hi, everybody. How you doing?
Okay, tell us a little bit about your song.
Well, it's called My Country, My Ass, and it's kind of a protest song. And I wrote it. We could give the story of how it came to be maybe after we hear it.
Yeah.
But I wrote it, and it turned more into a project than a song. And we'll just let everybody hear it, see what they think of it. It has a message, and I would like a lot of people to hear the message.
And basically, what's that message?
Everything that you are taught about this country in grade school and all of the media portrayals of this country are a lie. And I would like for that sentiment to be reflected more in popular culture than it is, because right now, if you come out with a message of, America, land of the free, and the home of the brave, everybody still eats it up, and they don't question it. They've got that so internalized that it's still in the popular culture, and I think that needs to change.
I'm going to put my question out again this week. I put it out the last 2 weeks, and I want somebody to call up and answer this one. Here's the question. I'm going to start it like this. Fiery horse at speed of light, a cloud of dust, and a hardy high-o silver. The Lone Ranger and his faithful Indian companion Tonto ride into Washington, D.C. with their silver bullets and proclaim, we're going to stand up against the injustices in this country and the corruption that's taken us down. The question is, could they raise a posse today? That's the question. Could the Lone Ranger Tonto raise a posse today? And I don't know. We'll have to think about that for a while, but I don't think there's liable to have more women in that posse than men these days. Hey, Miss Nobody, can we play that song yet? All right, let's everybody get a hear of this song.
Now tell me again how this country is the land of the free and the home of the brave. You can't really believe that what you see now is the reason so many brave men gave. Teacher used to say we had the Bill of Rights. I think they took our rights and sent us the bill. Well, I don't know about you, my friends, but I think I've had my fill. They've been walking on me for my whole life. I think it's finally time to draw the line. You can tell old John Cougar Mellencamp, he can stick his song where the sun don't shine. My country, my ass. This is not the land I learned about in class. My country, my ass. That freedom, justice stuff is all in the past. Got a checkpoint up the road ahead. Better pull out your ID. And your taxes just went up again. Gotta cough up some more money. Be careful what you're saying when you're on the phone. You never know who might be listening in. They got cameras watching everywhere you go, so they know just where you've been. You know you better think about the books you read, or your name might go on a list. Don't take too many pictures now, or they'll think you're a terrorist. They're watching you every time you turn around, and they don't like what they see. You gotta be fuck kidding me if you think this country's free. My country, my ass. This is not the land I learned about in class. My country, my ass. That freedom, justice stuff is all in the past. Well, the banks messed up, so they took money from us and gave a $1 zillion bonus. And they didn't give a damn what we had to say. I swear to God, they think they own us. But when they say bend over, you say yes sir, and then you vote for them again. If you're the kind of people who fought our wars, tell me how do we ever win? They've been walking on us for far too long, and don't you think it's time to draw the line? Why don't you tell those jerks in Washington to stick their laws where the sun don't shine? My country, my ass. This is not the land I learned about in class. My country, my ass. That freedom, justice stuff is all in the past. Well, they say America, love it or leave it. Well, I loved it, and it left me.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen. My Country, My Ass by Mr. John Ringer, and he's sitting over here. And if somebody wanted a copy of that, John, what would they have to do?
Go to the internet and go to mycountrymyass.com, and there's a website, and on that website there's a link to download the song for free.
Oh, that's good, and tells a lot of truth in that song. Cameras are everywhere, but when you put the camera on the cop, all of a sudden they would have locked you up.
Things change then.
Oh, I tell you what, I don't know if you know this, John, but I had a Maryland State policeman threaten to shoot me. And he threatened to shoot me because I videoed him stopping me 5 different times, 3 times in one night. And he was following me around and harassing me because I reported corruption to a state senator. And the senator used his authority to send the Maryland State Police after me. Well, anyway, to make a long story short, the state's attorney up in Queen Anne's County says it's not against the law for the Maryland State Police to threaten to shoot you. And I went to the state's attorney's office, which is open to the public, with my camera, and have a video of me turning in information on corruption, and the girl's real bubbly. Next time I went up there with some more information, fellow was there, one of the state's attorney guys. We said Merry Christmas to each other. Then I got a threatening message over my answer machine on my cell phone from the state's attorney threatening to arrest me for using a video camera. And they can video you, but you can't video them. What a shame. Matter of fact, tonight I'm going to talk about one down in Florida with a video camera where some guys were standing on the corner filming the cops who were on the other side of the street. And they threatened to arrest this guy. And anyway, that happened down in, let me see, I got in front of me here now. I don't see it somewhere in Florida. Tampa Springs, Florida. Tampa Springs. 2 guys are on the corner. The police are on the catty corner, and they got a car stopped. And it's nighttime, so the police lights are kind of like blurring out what the guy's videoing in the first place. And a cop car comes by and tells me you can't video, it's against the law. Well, the fellow with the camera knows the law, and he tells the police what the law is. That police backs water and leaves. Well, anyway, that particular police goes over and tells the other one that's got the car stopped, these guys are filming you. So after he's done what he's doing, he comes over to the 2 guys with the cameras and demands that they give him the tape out of the video camera. That it's now evidence in the case that he's working on that the fellow that he stopped submitted to his car search, and they made a felony drug arrest. Yeah. Guy with enough drugs to be a felony gives you police permission to search the car? I don't think so. I'll give you the moral of the story when we come back from this little break. Get yourself a coffee. Pete Richter up here, Liberty Works Radio Network with John Ringer, the songwriter. Pete Richter coming back to you here, Liberty Works Radio Network. Here's the phone number. Give us a call. We'll argue about anything you want to talk about. 410-848-9191. 410-848-9191. And you ought to be at these breaks up here at Westminster with my engineer, Miss Jane Doe. She don't tell anybody her name, the IRS, the federal government, the police. She wouldn't even tell John Ringer her name. But anyway, we had this discussion about, some crimes here. And as long as the crime don't hurt anybody, it shouldn't be a crime. I said, what about rape? And she said, well, that hurts somebody. I said, well, some of them might not think it's hurting, But anyway, I told a story to John. It's been, I guess it's 40 years ago or so. They had down on Harrod Street below North Avenue. It's near the 5th Regiment Army at an art school. There's a bridge that goes over Harrod Street. It's kind of like isolated there. This fellow raped this student, or she might have been a nurse. I don't remember. But anyway, she told him she liked it. Meet her there again tomorrow night. You can rape me again. Well, the dummy come back, and the Baltimore City Police locked him up. So that was a good story. That's a true one too. So, John, your song was really good. But let me finish this story up. We'll get John to talk a little bit more. These two fellas with the police in Florida, the guy with that made the stop that's being filmed comes over. He's got to walk all the way across the street. Demands that they turn the video camera off. Tells them it's against the law. You can't video me. And he wants the camera and the tape for evidence. Well, it's not his evidence. He can't testify to that. It's the guy with the camera's evidence. But the guy with the camera wouldn't give it up. So they locked both of these guys up for videoing in a public place, videoing the police. And the first thing comes to my mind is it's probably an illegal search of the car. They're constantly, the cops are constantly searching cars when they don't have the authority. I was at a Cracker Barrel the other night, and 7 cops come in from Easton. One of them had canine on his shirt. I says, "Are you canine?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Let me ask you a question. What percentage of alerts? That's when the dog's telling the cop the drugs are in the car. What percentage of those alerts do not turn up drugs?" He said he didn't know. This is the guy in canine. He don't know. So I told him it's 60%. 60% of the time they don't find the drugs. And this is his explanation. And it just bewilders me. He says, if the dog alerts the drugs were there, it's like a pickle jar. You eat all the pickles, but you can still smell the pickles in the pickle jar. Well, it's not against the law to be in a car that drugs were in. It's only against the law to be in a car that drugs are in. And my question to all these cops is, can you cross-examine the dog? Can I say to that dog, did you really alert, or is your handler telling a fib here? And then they look at you like you're crazy. But any cop with a dog can say the dog alerted when it didn't. And it shouldn't be probable cause in itself. Now, I mean, if your eyeballs are twittering around and the smoke's coming out the car like Cheech and Chong, then bring the dog up and search it. But, you're driving home from babysitting and you're a 16-year-old girl and or boy, and the cops pull you over. They shouldn't say, "I'm searching you because the dog alerted," if there's nothing else involved. But that's just my opinion. John, tell us a little bit more about your song.
Okay, well, when I wrote the song, I thought it came out pretty good, but I didn't really have any plans for it. Music's just sort of a hobby for me. I'm not a musician. I don't make my living that way or anything. And I played it for some people, and they kind of liked it. And I thought, people get ideas, and I got a crazy idea that I would like this song to sweep the country and change the entire national psychology of the country. Which, yes, that's what I said, and it's a crazy idea. But I'm not famous, and I'm not going to get my song played on the radio because the radios all want to play the same thing by big famous people, and they're afraid to play anything new. So I go, well, this was about the time the bank bailouts were happening, and everybody, the Tea Party was coming out, and everybody was starting to get angry, and it seemed like they were starting to want to do something about what was going on. So I go, well, let me try to get all these angry people to help get this song on the radio, because that's the only way it's going to happen. And I set up a website, and I sent the song out to 600 radio stations, and I put, it's a kind of a country song, so I sent it to country radio stations mostly, and I put the contact links for the program managers or the email or some way to contact all the stations that I sent the song to. And then I go, well, now I'm going to have to contact people, tell people if they like the song and they would like this message to be broadcast on the radio instead of that crap like God Bless the USA by Lee Greenwood, which I think it's just a terrible song right now, it should not be played. Then I could get these people to request the song on the stations, and maybe a few of them would play it. And if people liked this, if the station played it, turned out people liked the song, and then a few other stations played, then it would snowball, because stations really don't want to take a chance, and they all want to play the same thing. And I have gotten it on 3 radio stations that I know of, and there could be some others that played it that I don't know about. So that's how the song turned into more of a project. I want people like IRS agents and TSA agents and police and all these people to be driving down the road in their little self-secure bubble that they are doing God's work, working for the federal government. And I want them to hear this song and to realize that the people are not singing God Bless America right now. They're saying my country, my ass. And I want them to say, oh, things have changed. The popular mood has changed, and this is what's going on in the social consciousness. People are not buying into the American mythology anymore. And if you play Lee Greenwood, God Bless the USA, the people are going to laugh and say, why are you playing this? It's not true. I want to hear my country, my ass. So I'd like everybody who's hearing this to tell their friends and do it themselves. You go to mycountrymyass.com or search My Country My Ass. It comes up pretty fast. And I have a list of all the radio stations by state that have the song, and you can just do a few clicks, send an email, and say, I like this song and I would like you to play it. And let's see if we can't get some government employees to hear it and think about what they're doing, and that they aren't just doing a job, trying to support their family, that their actions really are affecting more than just, it's just not just a job. It's like, people in the concentration camp say, well, I was just following orders. They're not probably quite as bad as that, but they just say, I'm just doing my job. It's my job to collect taxes. It's my job to search these people at the airports. And get the, really my goal is to get the entire mood of the entire country changed by this song.
Let me break in here, John. So in other words, you're not attempting to be the next Elvis Presley.
Oh, no, I'm not. I can barely play and sing. I mean, I learned to play the song, and I learned it. I've practiced enough. I mean, I've played for a long time.
So it's more of an educational thing to get the people on the ball to start thinking in the right direction.
Yeah, they're still buying into. You can fly the jets over the athletic stadiums and sing the Star Spangled Banner, and everybody thinks everything's okay, and I don't think everything's okay.
Well, I tell you, your song hits the nail on the head with a lot of things. My country, my ass. And I tell you what, John, when you're in your car playing your CD, My Country, My Ass, if some of these cops hear it, they'll be searching your ass.
Well, good. It's the song is meant to irritate people.
Well, it doesn't irritate the citizens. I've listened to it several times. But the people in authority, that's who it irritates. And the people in authority, they've got to be held to a higher standard than the average person. You agree with that, John?
Oh, well, I have a court case which says that the people in authority have to be held to a higher standard, and it states it very clearly. It says they have to be held to a really impeccable standard, and it lists a slew of court cases after that that says that, so that's true.
Yeah. In other words, it's got to be like the rabbi that cuts the meat up for the Jewish people. What's that called? I've lost it. It's a Jewish word, but the meat, when you go get the real Jewish meat, it's always better meat, because the rabbi does it, and God's helping him to pick that good meat out. And if it wasn't for God coming up with the thought that man has in his head, our forefathers, we wouldn't be free today. Because our country's based on Christian belief. Bottom line, don't do to the other guy what you don't want done to you. But the principles of our Constitution are based on Christian belief.
Well, I like the idea that the forefathers came up with. One of them is that the people are above the government.
Yeah. That don't seem to be the case in Washington anymore, does it?
They're doing everything. They're hanging on to the nail, kicking and screaming, trying to make sure that they are above the people.
And people don't understand. I'm a retired cop, and I know both sides of that badge, and I'm sure John does, and so does everybody else. But the police have to be held to a higher standard, and you got just like you have everything in society, all different kind of people. You have all different kind of people on the police department, and one of them we call the Sharpie cop. And the Sharpie cop today is a millionaire. Well, not a millionaire, but he's doing real good. And I'll give you an example of Sharpie TSA agents at the airport, New York. They scan the bag, they see the money, $160,000 in the bag. They take $40,000 and get caught. Why? It's not hard to figure out if you know how the game's played. Nobody ships $160,000 cash money in a bag through the airport unless you're a drug dealer. The drug dealer might send that money, but ain't nobody in their right mind that's got $160,000 is going to put it in a suitcase or a bag and send it through the airport. Well, these Sharpie TSA guys, they understand that. When they seen that money, they know that's drug dealers' money. So they took $40,000 and got caught. Now, one of the reasons, I'm not saying, let me say this loud and clear. Most cops do a good job. Most cops are decent Americans. But the Sharpie cop out there wants to stop your car when the dope's in it. And he wants to stop that car when it's either a whole lot of traffic so people can't tell what's going on, or there's no traffic and there's nobody to watch. And what that Sharpie cop is looking for is that drug dealer riding up the road with the money and the drugs. The Sharpie leaves with the money, the drug dealer leaves with the drugs. And it goes on all the time. All the time. And how about that, John? You ever hear them, like I just said, you ever hear any of your friends or somebody tell you a story like that?
As a matter of fact, the drummer in a band that I was in a long time ago said they were driving in a van, something like from Florida to Wyoming, and I think they actually were making a drug run. And a cop, they must have had a distinctive van, because a cop saw them driving on the interstate, and then same cop saw them driving back a day or two later, and he pulled them over. And I don't know the details, long story short, he pulled him over, took the drugs, and let him go. And after he told me that story, I go, you got busted by a corrupt cop, and he took the drugs and let you go? And he goes, yeah.
Well, see, they can use them drugs like money. They barter with that. I can take, these Sharpie cops will take drugs and get a junkie that needs a shot. They'll hold him, especially if he's shaking and everything, and they'll get information out of him by giving him the drugs, which makes the cop the drug dealer. He shouldn't do that.
They do a lot of things that they're not supposed to do.
Yeah, and we all know it, and something's got to be done about it sooner or later. And I hope it's sooner than later. But like I say, there's a lot of cops out there doing the right thing. But the ones that are doing wrong, and I'm going to talk about this, need to stand up to the plate and be, accountable for what's going on. You just can't have the cops out here doing what they want. I mean, it's bad enough these politicians are above the law, and that the lobbyists are running Washington, D.C. We got all them problems. We don't need the cops out here being bad guys either. So we're going to get ready for a break. And get a popcorn, get a soda, come on back, and we'll entertain you a little bit more. But the Constitution's the law and the story. Pete Richter coming back to you again up here at Liberty Works Radio Network. Phone number 410-848-9191. 410-848-9191. And I'm up here with John Ringer, songwriter, wrote a good song called My Country, My Ass. And when I hear that, it reminds me of the old song, That Mule, Old Rivers and Me, by Walter Brennan. And the mule was, I guess you call mules an ass too, right?
You can.
And anyway, before we get John back here talking, we'll let him jam in with me. But I'm going to tell you one that happened in Phoenix. You'll love these two cops. Officers Richard Crisman and Sergio Vigilio. They get a call to a trailer, and they meet Elvira Fernandez. And Elvira tells the police that her son's in the trailer, acting up. He broke a few things, and she's kind of scared. Can you go in and like straighten him out, talk to him a little bit, try to help the boy? Well, don't ever do that. Don't ever call the cops on your kids. Never do it. And unless you got the right cop, then it'll be okay, but don't take that chance. Let me tell you what happened to this Mrs. Fernandez's kid. So she gives them the permission to go in the trailer. And she has the authority to do this because it's her trailer. We had a shooting. 2 police got killed in Centerville, Maryland. They went into a guy's trailer because his mother said they could, and the mother didn't have the authority. She didn't live there. And 2 cops got killed by a fellow that had mental problems because they're going into houses they don't belong going in. But in this case, they got the authority to go in there. So they go in, and the boy, the teenager, he's telling them, get out. You need a warrant to come in here. The first thing out of this Christmas mouth is, I don't need a MFing warrant to come in here. Then they start back and forth a little bit. The next thing the cop does is pulls his gun out, puts it in the kid's forehead, says he's going to kill him. The kid's got a dog. The dog's barking. The cop shoots and kills the dog. So then they tased the kid. Then they sprayed mace in his face. Kid pulls the tasers out, handles the mace pretty good, I guess, and decides, I'm leaving, I don't want to be here, and his bicycle is inside the house. So the kid grabs the bicycle inside the house, and that becomes a tug of war with this police Crisman. Kid wants to leave. He's not under arrest. He didn't do anything illegal so far. So he just wants to leave, get away on his bicycle. And it's all started because the mother wanted the police to help the kid. Well, anyway, Crisman shoots him in the chest 3 times and kills the kid. Kills him. The other officer, Virgilio, he's a better character. He testifies that this was all uncalled for. They shouldn't have shot the kid. The kid wasn't doing anything to deserve it. And Crisman gets charged with homicide. The police agencies protect the shooter and go against the police that's doing kind of like the right thing. He should have stepped up at the get-go when he said, when he put the gun at the kid's head. The other, the good cop should have, hey, don't do that. That's wrong. But he didn't, and because he didn't stand up right away, this young boy got killed. And the mother will never, ever call the police to her house for help again. What about you, John? Would you call him?
Well, in a circumstance like that, and only if you're naive and ignorant. And it's just unfortunate that she didn't know better.
Yeah, well, you get all kinds of crazy police coming to your house. I don't know if I ever told you, John, but my house on Eastern Shore in lovely Queen Anne's County was burglarized and vandalized to the tune of $22,000. The sheriff's department told me the neighbors did it and wouldn't do nothing about it. These neighbors are involved in drugs and possible stolen car rape. So lo and behold, one day there's a pickup truck with a for sale sign in the window with a burglary suspect's phone number. So I called the Maryland State Police and get a Lieutenant Paul Kelly involved. The serial number on this particular pickup truck had a history of 9 sales from New York to Florida and back again. It's listed to a man that owns a garage in Downingtown, Pennsylvania. It's displaying Delaware tags that have been expired for more than 4 years, but has a current sticker. And the police told the guy to move it because I'm complaining. Now, who would believe that? I wouldn't believe it if it didn't happen to me, but it did happen. And you hear these stories all the time, all the time. And one of the things I want to talk about tonight, being as I mentioned that guy that raped a girl up on Howard Street, and she said she liked it, so he came back the next day for seconds, and the cops were there, and they locked him up, and that's the way it should be. You got to get on this cop block. It's called. You can find out what all these crazy police are doing out here.
Copblock.org.
Yeah, copblock.org, and the paper I got here says rapists with badges, cop block. And out of every 100,000 police, you have 79 sexual perverts out here raping people, feeling little girls up, having sex with boys, men having sex with boys. And the men, one of them is a captain in a police department. And it's like unbelievable. But you read the newspapers here in Maryland, you have the same thing. About 2 years ago, Anne Arundel County Police stops 2 girls on Ritchie Highway late at night, pulls them over onto a church lot that's all dark, and tells them, "Show me your breasts, and I'll let you go." So the one girl's, they're afraid of the police. You got to remember, the police have the authority. They can plant drugs on you. They can say anything they want, and the judge is liable to believe them. So the girl does it, and the policeman takes his cell phone that has a camera in it and takes a picture of this girl. Can you believe that? Well, he wound up getting caught. They got rid of him. And down where I live on lovely Eastern Shore, the sheriff's brother was a sergeant. He got demoted for what I'm going to be talking about. But anyway, the sheriff's brother, who was a sergeant in detectives, had a female subordinate in detectives working for him, and he's charged criminally up in Cecil County for sexually assaulting the female policewoman. So she was his subordinate. How many women out there listening to me tonight work in some office somewhere where you got the guy in charge that takes advantage of his authority and says things to you he shouldn't say? And he knows you need your job. You know you need your money. You got kids, especially these single mothers. And they take advantage, but the cops do the same thing. And lo and behold, down where I live on the Eastern Shore, some black guy gets drunk driving, his name, address, and serial numbers in the newspaper. And the same thing goes for the poor white people. They hit their wife, drunk driving, have an accident, get caught stealing something at McDonald's. Name, rank, serial number, all in a newspaper, and lo and behold, this sergeant, who's the brother of the sheriff, they didn't put it in the newspaper until the black churches heard about it and demanded that they print an article on it, because they're constantly putting the poor people's name, rank, serial number in the newspaper for everything they do. And that's totally wrong. What do you think, John?
There's an extreme double standard which gets applied to government workers as opposed to the public. I mean, I wouldn't even know where to start in bringing that up, where they can get away with things, like just the camera stuff. They say that you can't, in Maryland, there's the privacy expectation provision where if you're in public, there's no reasonable expectation of privacy, so you can tape people. But the cops say that doesn't apply to them. They want the reasonable expectation of privacy when they're in public. And there's just a huge double standard.
Yeah, the state's attorney in Queen Anne's County thinks the same thing, too. I told him, lock me up, and they wouldn't do it. But listen to this one. Fredericktown, Missouri, police captain and Boy Scout leader Kenneth D. Tomlinson II was sentenced to 3 consecutive life terms plus 22 years for sexual conduct with 2 boys. They were 11 and 13 years old. This guy's the captain. You can't make this stuff up. It's just totally unbelievable what's going on in this country. And I say this every week. Your first line of defense for your constitutional rights is you. Your second line of defense is the police, and they're the first ones to be violating your rights. Let me ask John a question that's off the top of my head that I've asked other people. I've never asked John. How you like going to them big box stores? You didn't steal nothing, and you're going out the door, and they want to see your receipt. Do you show it to them?
Well, I don't. Well, the answer would be yes. I don't go to the big box stores that often, but when they show it to me, I think it's kind of annoying, and I show it to them. And actually, they don't really scrutinize it. They just look at it at arm's length as a piece of paper, which sort of makes me wonder, why are they doing it if they're not going to look at the receipt and then what you have to really make sure? But
are you technically being accused of a crime and being asked to prove your innocence?
Possibly, but
the Constitution says the opposite, don't it?
Well, you can forget that.
Well, we can't forget the Constitution. We got to fight for the Constitution. But you people out there listening to this, when you go to them stores, don't show anybody your receipt. It's your receipt. It's your stuff. You paid for it. They think you stole something, tell them to call the police, and then don't show the police the receipt. Make them show some evidence what their probable cause is that you stole something. It's just unbelievable what's going on. Here's a biggie. I'm going to get off of this sex with the cops. I got about 4 pages here I can read about the cops, out here with the sex business. And let me tell you another thing people don't really understand. Guy sees a girl in a bikini, it might turn him on. Well, a lot of girls see a guy in a uniform and it turns them on. These cops got women coming after them all the time, just like doctors and guys in military uniforms. Certain girls like that. And after a while, that cop thinks they're coming after him because he's so good looking, but it's opposite. And just because one girl comes on to you, don't mean you have the right to go after another girl thinking they're all coming after you. And I worked with guys years ago that would love to go out late at night on the midnight shift to Lover's Lane. And they turned their headlights out of their cars, and they would sneak up and see what was going on in that car. And let me put it to you this way. They had fun doing that. Nobody got locked up, but they had fun looking at what was going on, kind of like a peeping Tom is what I would say. But how about if I told you that 140 people are arrested daily in New York City for possession of marijuana? What do you think of that, John?
Well, as far as the number goes, I can see it. I think it's just a waste. I think the government needs the crime, and that's the whole scheme behind the thing.
Yeah, but see, what goes through my mind is the next guy that holds up the bank because he needs marijuana is the first one. The next guy that robs your house because he needs marijuana is the first one. So why all the attention to the marijuana? And the answer is, it smells and it's easy to get, and kids are smoking it. Go after the big stuff, like the 6,000 metric tons of dope that comes across the Mexican border every year. And can you do that, John, without police or political protection? What do you think?
Well, like I said, the government needs the crime for their entire scheme. I think it gets people to support all the police activity that's going on.
Right on, and you're right, and we're running out of time. This time went pretty fast. And I see Miss Jane Doe back here. I don't even know what her name is. Tried to give her a check, and she wouldn't tell me her name. But anyway, we're going to get ready to sign off here. Let's hear a little bit of John's song on the way out.
Now tell me again how this country is the land of the free and the home of the brave. You can't really believe that what you see now is the reason so many brave men gave. Teacher used to say we had the Bill of Rights. I think we took our rights and sent us the bill. Well, I don't know about you, my friend, but I think I've had my fill. They've been walking on me for my whole life. I think it's finally time to draw the line. You can tell old John Cougar Mellencamp, he can stick a song where the sun don't shine. My country, my ass. This is not the land I learned about in class. My point up the road ahead, better pull out your ID. And your taxes just went up again. Gotta cough up some more money. Be careful what you're saying when you're on the phone. You never know who might be listening in. They got cameras watching everywhere you go, so they know just where you've been. You know you better think about the books you read, or your name might go on a list. Don't take too many pictures now, or they'll think you're a terrorist. They're watching you every time you turn around, and they don't like what they see. You gotta be fucking kidding me if you think this country's free. My country, my ass. This is not the land I learned about in class. My country, my ass. That freedom, justice stuff is all in the past. Well, the banks messed up, so they took money from us and gave $1 zillion bonus. And they didn't give a damn what we had to say. I swear to God, they think they own us. But when they say bend over, you say yes sir, then you vote for them again. If you're the kind of people who fought our wars, tell me how did we ever win? They've been walking on us for far too long, and don't you think it's time to draw the line? Why don't you tell those jerks in Washington to stick their laws where the sun don't shine? My country, my ass. This is not the land I learned about in class.
Well, I talked to you right here.
My country, my ass. That freedom, justice stuff is all in the past. Well, they say America, love it or leave it. Well, I loved it, and it left me.
Yeah.